Hello, Jerry here. Today's painting is from Cornwall in England, and it's of St Michael's Mount, which is a tidal island off the coast of Marazion in Cornwall, and it's crowned by a medieval castle and church. And at low tide you can walk across the ancient cobbled causeway, while at high tide boats ferry visitors to its harbour. Now it's steeped in legend, history and myth, and it's a place where pilgrims, traders and storytellers have gathered for centuries. Now I'll be painting it in quite loose washes, and I'll be letting the watercolour flow, and I'll show you how to embrace mistakes as well, as I've made one along the way, and then turn it into part of the atmosphere. The focal point is the castle on the top of the hill, which is silhouetted against the blue sky, and the sea's quite calm with small waves, and I'm going to show you how to paint waves in quite a simple method that looks quite effective. Now first off, I'm going to be wetting the paper in the sky area, just here and there, not too much water. I really just want the paint to flow quite smoothly because it's quite a calm sky, quite flat with just a few clouds. Now the colours that I'm going to be using are French ultramarine, cobalt blue and cerulean blue, and lots of water. Get a nice big puddle there because I've got quite an area to cover, and I'm using a medium mop. This is in a Skoda mop. I do quite like their brushes, and I'm just leaving some white areas for the clouds, just being mindful to try and make them into kind of cloud shapes and not really have any straight edges there. And the paint's going to be quite strong at the top, and I'm going to be adding water as we come down. Just covering the paper quite quickly. Now the paper is Saunders Waterford 140 pound rough, and I've done quite a heavy pencil sketch so you can see where I'm going to be painting. And if you're going to be doing the painting yourself, it's easier for you to copy. If you look in the description as we go, you'll see that there are chapters there, so you can stop the video on the sketch if you want to paint along, and then copy the sketch. Not too complicated. I put in things like the tree areas and the rocks. Well, I probably wouldn't do quite so much of that, but it'll just make it easier for you to get an idea of of where to put things. Now going over the island with the blue colour as well, just covering the paper with colour. It's all going to be quite a bit darker with the greens of with the trees. Quite a lot of green in this painting. Moving on to another mop brush, which is a Da Vinci, and quite a fine point on it. Now I've done some pencil lines on where I want the waves to be, and I'll avoid those pencil lines with this wash as it comes down, you'll see I'm leaving those faint lines where the pencil is. And this is one method of painting a sea, quite a calm sea with just a few waves. Just leaving the paper, the white paper there, as I bring it forward. This is just cobalt blue and some cerulean blue. Just covering the whole area, leaving those white marks, which is the waves in the distance. This is the part I'll be working on in the later part of the painting, where the just a little bit too much water in that sky area there. So what I'm going to be doing now is it's dried off, and this is just clear water on a nice clean brush and a tissue, and where those watermarks are, just sort of glancing white with the tissue, and the paint comes back to life a little bit, and it could lose that edge which was a bit too severe. And there we are. That will dry out, and you wouldn't know that there was a bit of a water line there. You can sometimes get away with a few things as you go, even though it's watercolour. Raw umber and some white. It's a nice light brown colour, which is the sand in the distance. I prefer to put a little bit of white in there and get it to cover better rather than try a watery wash and do quite a few washes. This way I can probably cover it in 1 or 2 washes. Going all the way along, and doing the buildings as well in the distance. And then bringing that forward using quite a light mixture in the back of the painting there, but as it comes down, adding more raw umber and just going over where I've marked where some of the large rocks are going to be. Here I'm just using a small synthetic pointed brush, and using the same mixture to do the castle on the hill. Doing the whole thing with this colour, and we'll be putting in some shadows up there when this dries out. This is sap green. I have two greens on my palette, one's sap green and one's hooker's green. I quite like the ready mix green. You can make your own, of course, with yellows and blues, but I quite like the sap green. It's not so much by itself, but I do add blues to it, and in this instance I'm adding French ultramarine. And this is the wooded area, done very loosely, just give an impression of areas of trees. This will be drying a bit lighter, so I'll be going over again with another couple of times with some areas where I'll be doing areas of trees, each time getting darker to cover the lighter watercolour. Pretty much going over the whole area there with this first wash, leaving just a small area on the left, which is where the sun's hitting. Onto a slightly bigger synthetic brush. All the details are in the description below, and if you look there as well, you'll see that there's chapters this painting as I go, and then you can flick from one to another, and it'll be described what that section is. This is just some trees at the other side of the hill there, done with some of that blue mixture, French ultramarine, cobalt blue. And using the same mixture for the side of the castle, where it's in shade. Keeping the castle fairly simple. It's got a lot more windows and things, but I'm not too worried about that. As you can see, the hill and the castle are quite dark, surrounded by lights, so it's quite effective with the light sand below and the light sky. Just putting in the shoreline there with some raw umber. Now moving back to the sea, and using my small round synthetic brush again, and I'm going in with a darker mixture of cobalt blue and French ultramarine. avoiding the whites of the which would be the waves breaking, putting in some darks there, which would be the reflection of the clouds in the water. This is quite a simple method of painting the sea. There are other ways to do it, but in this instance, I'm doing it like this. Now I'm going to be putting on quite a dark mixture now. This is neutral tint, Payne's grey, and there's a little bit of cadmium red in there just to start these rocks off. I'll be going over them again to darken them up. I've already penciled in the shape, so I won't be varying too much from that, just so that make it easy for you to put in some rock shapes yourself if you're going to be painting along. Very random, some large, some small. Once again, using the small round brush. Making these rocks nice and dark. I've penciled in some figures, which I'll be putting in a bit later, but they'll really be very simple. And this has dried off a bit, and I'm now going to be rubbing out the pencil marks in the water to leave the nice white breakers on the tops of those waves. By putting the pencil mark in, it just gives me something to work around when I was putting the paint on. Going with a similar mixture again with the green. This is sap green and French ultramarine. Just working my way from the top of the hill using a large round brush, putting in some areas where there'd be clumps of trees. Just putting in some random shapes. I've penciled some of these in, so it's given me something to work with. And then I'm also using a rigger brush, which is a fine tip brush, just for doing these branches and things at the top. I'll use it for doing the tops of the trees, and then switch to the larger brush for doing the main area. Keep this very random. I've got some pencil marks to work with that I did at the start when I was sketching the outlines in. Nice thick mixture of paint here. I like to use Winsor & Newton paints, the artist grade. It's worth paying the extra money for the artist grade, as it's far superior, and you use less paint because you need less of it, but it's got a lot more body to it. Working my way from right to left, keeping that nice golden shoreline there. Little flashes of white there as well, but there's a building halfway along the shoreline there. Just breaks it up a little bit. And going over again the distant trees with this blue mixture, cobalt blue. Just toning that down a little bit with a clean tissue. Doing the same with the tree areas on the island. Out with the rigger again. Putting in some darks on the distant shoreline. Using the mixture that I'd already made up there on my palette, which is neutral tint and raw umber. Now back to the castle itself. Putting in a window and starting off the dark shadow. Want a kind of bluey, reddy shadow on these. Get the impression of a nice, bright, sunny day. Now to these people that I penciled in. Really nothing more than just a few lines, a couple of dots for heads. And then when you look at it, it does appear to be people there. Putting in, mixing up quite a dark mixture there to go over these rocks again. Payne's grey, raw umber, darkening these up a bit. You can see throughout the painting there's lights and darks to look quite effective. Just going around the painting now with a rigger brush and some dark paint. That's the distant side of the distant building there going in. Putting in the house at bottom right with a dark mixture. And now that's dried off a bit, just losing a few more pencil lines here and there just to make the white of the paper stand out. Most of the pencil marks will come out if you rub quite hard and let it after it's dried, but not if it's had more than one wash of watercolour on it. Just going around again with an even darker mixture, sap green, French ultramarine, putting in the shade side of some of these groups of trees. Nice and dark. Trying to keep it all very random. And framing these buildings there with the really dark, dark against light, light against dark. All looks very effective. Decided to take a bit of colour out there, those trees there. Thought there was a bit too catching the eye a bit too much, so just wet that with clean water and let it dry just for a few seconds, and then put a tissue on it and press down on the tissue just to take some of the paint off. It comes off quite easy, and then sets those trees back. And then me just going around doing the few more branches, bits and pieces sticking out along the horizon line, those darks. Making those buildings stand out with the really dark shadow on the back of them, and then bringing in this bringing in the shoreline in a dark colour as well, just breaking that up as well. There'll be some shadow from the hill or something. Once again, working on the sea, just putting in some darks there, French ultramarine and cobalt blue in the distance, keeping the white of the tops of the waves there. Just give it a sense of movement in the water there. And just finishing off some bits and pieces with the some darker colours. This is a little bit of raw umber, just breaking up that sand colour there, giving it a little bit of shadow. And just taking off the masking tape, just regular masking tape. Always making sure just to put it on just before I paint, as it will start to take the surface of the paper off if you don't. And there we are, St Michael's Mount.